In today's episode, we'll be diving into the lore surrounding the enigmatic research organization known only as the Group. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. It sounds cliche, but it really helps the channel out. Without further ado, let's dive in. Throughout the Cold War, Soviet scientists engaged in clandestine research projects, hoping to advance scientific knowledge for the benefit of their country and humanity. Black site locations were home to horrific genetic experimentation, psychic warfare programs, and advanced physics research. While these secret projects were conducted in violation of international treaties, they were ultimately guided and kept on a leash by Soviet authorities, until 1991, when the Soviet Union collapsed. The scientists who engaged in these experiments were thrilled with the lack of government oversight, which at times was able to suspend or outright halt research that was deemed a threat to national security. The efforts to create a secret group of researchers outside the bounds of ethics and legalities were spearheaded by Professor Vadim Chubko and his associates. These dedicated researchers referred to themselves only as the Group, and continued their exploration into subjects that most would consider better left alone. Ultimately, the group focused much of its effort into researching the noosphere, in an effort to eliminate negative emotions on a global scale. Using the Chernobyl exclusion zone as a base of operations, they were left alone for the most part. As Ukraine became an independent state after the fall of the Soviet Union, the group capitalized on the fledgling country's lack of organization and its lack of resources. Seeing that the new Ukrainian government was unable to investigate rumors of experimentation or to locate their secret research locations in the exclusion zone, the group doubled down and started creating the Kamenov emitters, as well as the rainbow emitter, or as it's better known, the brain scorcher. The majority of this research and project development took place inside of underground locations called the X-Labs. In 1990, the group finally began to experience government scrutiny in the form of a special commission created by the Ukrainian government. Rumors and urban legends of illegal operations being carried out inside of the zone began to spread to the public at large. While the commission was able to investigate and confirm eventually the reports of some kind of illegal and unsanctioned operation which was still ongoing, their investigation never led to any official action. Further emboldened by the fact that there was no action taken against them, even after they were discovered, the group began to expand its operations further. In 2003, the group took control of the Agroprom Research Institute. They continued surface-level research on crops and farming techniques, but the bulk of the staff and resources that the institute provided were used to further the group's own research. Using the institute as a cover, the group was able to redistribute funding and equipment to their own research centers, allowing them uninterrupted access to the resources that would have otherwise been unavailable. After the annexation of the Agroprom Research Institute, the group sought to absorb other research stations and infrastructure located within the zone. The Jupiter factory was a prime location to be repurposed, and in 2004, the group took control of the factory. The group then used its prime location as a front for top-secret research into EM weaponry. The project, which was codenamed Product 62, made significant headway, and eventually a prototype weapon was designed. The research conducted at this location was eventually moved to an alternate lab via the Pripyat 1 underpass, or what's commonly referred to today as the Jupiter Underground. With unchecked access to funding, equipment, and research locations, the group began to further focus its efforts on creating technology capable of influencing the noosphere. Guided by the principles of order, peace, and honesty, the group was able to convince its members that the rewards of the project would far exceed any possible risk or side effects. Although objections were raised and the possibility of failure and unintended side effects were discussed, the project continued. As the research progressed and the group was able to effect small changes in the noosphere, it was soon realized that in order to change the noosphere on a macro level, a superconsciousness was needed. 7 volunteers agreed to be the first attempt at creating this superconsciousness, which was soon renamed the Common Consciousness Project. The 7 scientists who joined their minds together were placed into stasis pods, which were used to hold their physical bodies, but their minds were connected and merged together into the superconsciousness, one which far surpassed a normal human being in willpower, intelligence, and cunning. This success further drove the project leadership into a state of security, almost reinforcing the idea that their theory was sound and that they could accomplish their dreams. The infrastructure soon began to be put in place to attempt altering the noosphere itself. While the theory seemed to be sound, the first attempt to alter the noosphere was a resounding failure due to technical issues which caused a massive power outage. The second attempt, which was conducted a month later, on April 12, 2006, was successful, however. But the consequences of the project were far from what anyone could have expected, and thus led to the creation of what we now call the Zone. Following the tear in the noosphere and the subsequent changes in the local environment, the group was once again faced with internal disagreement over how they should proceed in containing the spread of the noosphere influence on the material world. Fueled by the fact that their warnings were ignored by group leadership, and also opposed to how the group wished to proceed with containing the new zone, almost half the group resigned. 3 of the most prominent dissenters, Lebdev, Suslov, and Kalancha, would later form Clear Sky, who dedicated themselves to researching the zone and finding methods of containing, or if need be, destroying it. Clear Sky began to operate in the zone shortly after, and began to threaten the integrity of the group's research project. Furthermore, the creation of the zone had sparked international interest, drawing the world's eye. Fueled by curiosity, individuals began to explore the zone on their own as well, exacerbating the potential that the outside world would learn of the group and the sea consciousness's existence. This panic caused further dissension in the group's ranks. Ultimately, the sea consciousness persisted in attempting to find a way to control the zone and utilize it for its own designs. As research on the zone continued, the tear in the noosphere began to expand. The sea consciousness began to devote all of its time and effort into stopping the noosphere from leaking more into the material world. But each time it began to hold the noosphere back, human error or interference threatened its efforts. As a means of defending the sea consciousness and stopping unnecessary interruptions, the remaining scientists worked with the sea consciousness to alter the rainbow emitter and turn it into the brain scorcher, creating a psychic defense network that would mind control any human that entered into its effective range. As a secondary defensive measure, the monolith was created as well, which would draw humans into the center of the zone in order for the brain scorcher to gain control of their minds. The humans that began to fall under the sea consciousness's control formed the faction known as Monolith, who served as defensive garrisons around key locations across the zone. Monolith operatives also carried out preemptive attacks on groups of stalkers who came too close to uncovering secret locations or data that might compromise the security of the sea consciousness. With the creation of the Monolith forces and the construction of the Psychic Defense Network, and the cover of absolute secrecy, the remaining scientists were no longer needed. It is unknown if any survived, but it is likely that they are all either lost to attrition or absorbed into Monolith's ranks. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe for more Stalker-related content. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can check out my Patreon page or my merch store. Until next time, guys, I'll see you in the zone.